Hello Scouts, and welcome to Nature Art Part 2 with Mr. Pete. Today we're going to do something totally different. This time we are working with something that I'll bet you have played with many times. And the reason I know that is because we have often asked you to stop kicking them, throwing them, or even picking them up. And that is rocks. Today we are talking about rocks, and you can find these where? You can find them everywhere. You may have rocks in your driveway, you may have rocks in your yard, and what's cool is maybe when you go on a trip or you go camping, maybe you have favorite rocks, maybe you take one home as a souvenir, and today I'm going to show you something you can do with them to help make a special rock even more special. And you can do this with little rocks or you can do it with big rocks. But today we are going to do some painting on rocks. And so I have some examples I'm going to show you. But we're going to paint one together too, okay? And there's different ways to do it. What I recommend is, there's two different things you can do. You can cover the whole rock with paint, or you can just make a place where you're going to make it like a frame, almost like the rock serves as a frame. Okay, so now to get started, first you're going to need rocks. So if you don't have some rocks with you, you're going to have to go out and search for some rocks. Maybe you have some in your room already, maybe you have a favorite pet rock, but any size, any shape, and I'll show you what I chose in a minute. But you're also going to need some craft paint. So I recommend acrylic, but other paints will work. I think watercolor is the only one that would be hard on this particular thing, but like poster paint might work. Acrylics tend to work the best, they stick to the rock. You're gonna wanna wipe off the dirt, maybe wash them and dry them, let them dry. You want them dry. And then you're gonna need the paint, and you're gonna need some brushes. And really that's all you need. You might want a picture of something you wanna paint. For me, that's my best, that's what I do. When I want to paint something, I use a picture. So I'll show you, these are the rocks that I chose. You can see this one I haven't done anything with yet. This one I painted white. Now one of the things, just like when you're painting your house in the inside, oftentimes you'll do what's called priming, and you'll prime it. I like to put a nice white background on to start. Now I might make this a different color, but the white will give me a base. It'll show me where I want to paint. It'll also make the paint stick easier once that's on there, so it makes a good background. With this one, you can see I painted the entire thing. I'll show you what I did with this in a minute, because this is what I'm going to work on tonight. But this is, again, I painted the whole thing. I'm only going to paint on this side, but I painted this whole rock. Now this one I did earlier today as an example, and it's going to be hard to see, I'm sure, and it's a little bit, but what you can see is I painted a scene, and this is meant to be, this is an island, and you might be able to see there's a tent there amongst the trees, a little fire going over here, and right down front is a canoe. That's how our friends here on the island got there. So I painted this whole little scene on the frame, and this particular rock, I really liked it, so I thought the frame would be fun, because on this rock, you got these great rings on here, and I really like this rock, so I thought I wanted to leave some of the natural beauty of the rock and then put something cool, a scene on this side of it. So that was one I painted earlier with our happy little trees there. And then tonight, you can see this one's ready to go, and then in a minute I'm gonna paint on this one. But before I do, I want to show you some other examples of things you can do. So here's two good examples. You can see right here we have just patterns. You can paint your rock with any kind of pattern, just splash paint on it, you could drip paint on it, or you can paint a specific pattern like these have. Here they painted the whole rock, and they made little ladybugs out of it. That's kind of a fun thing to do, is you could put those around in your family garden, maybe in some potted plants in the house where you could actually enjoy your little critters. I really like these. I think I might come back and try making one of these. This one is like these beautiful starry night images, almost like northern lights, and you can see the stars, and then there's these silhouettes. This one looks like a sleigh, so it's not stars, it's probably snow. But with those black silhouettes, just use black paint over it, and you can see the silhouettes of different animals or people. Here's a village, it looks like, trees. They look really cool against that those colored backgrounds. So that's that example. Here's an example of a very ornate kind of cartoon-like family of owls. And then here we have a whole bunch of different fun ones. Look, I made a watermelon slice, an orange slice, some flip-flops, a hot dog, a cheeseburger. Those are all just little rocks someone found outside and decided to paint. So that's fun. And then lastly, the examples here, here's some fun animal faces, followed by everyone's favorite superheroes. And that's all things, all of these are just painted rocks. You just have the right colors and some patience. Nice picture like this to look at, and you can do whatever you want. So what I'm gonna do with you tonight is I'm gonna tell you, like I said, a little bit about how to do this and some recommendations as you go through it. Again, whatever you paint is up to you. What I did before we started, like I said, I first did the whitewash or primed the rock with a little white paint, and then I went through and I tried to make this look. This is supposed to be a birch tree, so you can see the lines, and then another branch of a tree coming across the front. And the picture I'm using, because again, like I said, I like to look at a picture, I'm gonna paint this cub right onto this tree branch. So you can kind of see what I was trying for here with the branch and the tree, and I'm gonna try to nestle this cub right into the corner of this tree. Now, painting something like a black bear is difficult because it's all black, but if you look closely, you'll see it's actually black and gray with the different colors. So we'll see what we can do here as I do this. Now, something I can tell you about painting this. If you're gonna paint something more simple like those ladybugs, okay, you can just go ahead and paint the colors as you want them. Go ahead and you can paint the color and then paint the black over it, paint the white eyes on top of it. That's fine. But if you're gonna create like a scene, okay, this one's an example, and so is the one that I painted is an example. You have to start with your background, and this is true of any painting. You always start with the background, whatever's furthest in the distance, and then you work your way forward, because that will help you to be able to paint over the top. So with this, if you were to do this like this scene here that looks almost like Northern Lights, you'd have to paint the pink, the magenta into the purple. You have to paint those colors first, and then you would paint your silhouette over that, and then you add the white dots, because the white dots are actually closest to you. When I did this rock here, I actually painted this light blue sky. I painted it over the whole white, and then I put the clouds in, and then I worked on the basics of the water, and then I put the island in, then I put the trees in, then I put the tent and the canoe and the fire, and then I actually painted another tree over in front of the tent. It has to be done in that order, because it's very difficult to go back and paint things behind, because you can't really paint behind other paint. So you got to work forward. So what I did here, I'm going to move stuff so maybe you can see me, and I'm going to actually use this rock to help hold up the phone, because I'm going to be painting, and I'll try to keep this over here so you can see me. You want to protect whatever you're painting on, so a piece of newspaper always works great, or if you've got another piece of paper of some kind. So what I did was to prep this, is if you look, I prepped the background. So this is ready for me to put the black bear right on top of this, because the black bear is actually the closest thing. And even that, if you look at the picture, the body of the bear is in the background, and the head is closer to me. So I'm going to start with the body, and I'm going to use a brush to just sort of sketch out, because I'm not drawing it, which is one more thing I'm going to add to. If you paint your rock white, you can actually use marker on top of it. So if you're like, it's hard to paint and get those details that I want, and you want to paint something, do something really detailed, if you paint your rock white first, you could go back with Sharpie markers and very carefully do your picture with markers. So it's another way around to paint on rocks. It's actually using marker. All right, so bear with me for a few minutes. Haha, bear with me, drawing a bear. I'm gonna put my paint out here on my little palette. By the way, dollar store, great little way to put some paints out and mix some colors. I'll show you when I painted that little scene here, I'll just show you what my palette looked like when I was done, just so you can see how it works. See all those different colored blues and the different greens in the background for the tree? All of these colors that you see on this palette, every single one of them is somewhere in that little tiny scene. So that's the value of having a palette for mixing colors. You don't have to have one. You can actually do it on a paper plate. You don't need one of these little things, but since I have it, I'm going to use it. And for this black bear, I don't need a lot of colors. I'm going to put, mostly just going to need a little white, very little. I'm going to need a lot of black. That's mostly what I need, but it doesn't take much. I'm going to put some black out there. That'll be more than enough. And then I'm going to need just a little brown, maybe yellow. But I think brown will probably do it. I'm going to put that over here. All right, that's for the muzzle. That's way too much, but that's okay. I'm just going to put a drop of yellow out in case I need it. I don't know. I'll decide when I start painting it. Just a tiny bit of yellow. I'll just leave those there. Okay, so now I will stop along the way and try to show you what I'm doing. I'm going to take one of my small brushes here. I've got different sizes, which I find always helpful. And of course, water to rinse the brushes if I want to use it for different colors. And I'm just going to start with a little bit of, I'm going to get the black going. Put some in here. I'm going to have to keep this here. And I'm going to just add the black. I could go directly from the black, but as I said, nothing is ever really black, so I want to make it more of a dark gray. And then I can build with that. As it comes down near the back leg, it goes right on top of the tree. So that's why I had to do the tree first, because it would be very hard to paint the tree after I put the bear in. And I just made a nice green background because he's kind of in the forest. All right, so here he is. He's coming along. I'm gonna have to go back to get some more gray to make the details later on, but right now I'm just trying to frame out the outside and get the right shape. All right, and I'm gonna leave just a little bit of the green showing because I'm gonna come back with some gray, so I don't want to lose my lines. All right, so you can see I basically have the body the way I want it. Might do a little more detail on the legs. But basically, other than that green spot and some gray I'm going to add for shading, you can kind of see this is like a headless cub. All right, and I might add a little more here and there or make it a little fuzzier with little lines, but for now, but if you look in this picture, I keep talking about the gray, right? Look closely at the bear's head. What's different about the head? The head's in the light, and so that makes it almost look gray. So the way this is going to stand out, I could paint this all black, but you'd have trouble seeing where the head was. Okay, so we've got our head in there. It's gray. It doesn't look like much. Kind of looks like kind of looks like a cat when I haven't added the details of the nose on the bear. But I'm going to add some of the gray details in the fur, just real lightly. I'm going to thin it out a little and make it real thin because I want to just scratch in some of the gray real lightly in the fur. Added the ears. And now I got to mix up some colors, a little bit of brown. Put it right up here in the middle. I want it light, so I'm going to make it very much, a lot of white in there. This has got to be very, very light colored. Add some more white over here. Just a little bit of the brown, maybe a little of the yellow. I want just a light yellow for the snout. There, we're getting it now. Oh, that's a good color. It's a nice light color. That's a good bear snout right there. It's actually, I'll make this and I'll make it a little bit darker and we'll use it for the inside of the ears too. All right, so I want to make sure it's all mixed in. I don't need very much because I'm only going to need a couple of brush strokes to make this happen. So I'm going to go ahead and add in the snout. There we go, we're getting there. We're getting there. All right, that's pretty much all I'm going to need. I'll have to touch up the black a little bit. Just rinse this off for a minute. I seem to be using only one brush right now. I'll wipe it off with this. It's always good to have a rag on hand to help wipe off your brush. You get a lot of paint build up, especially if you're mixing colors, and that's my favorite part of painting, is making up the colors. I'm going to take, like I said, I'm going to take a little of this nose color and I'm just going to make it just a tiny bit darker. Take a little bit of the gray and add it in there. Maybe a little of the brown. Just going to make that a little bit darker Yeah, there we go. That's the ear color. That's going to be our ear color, and I'm just going to add that over here. There. We're getting our ear. Okay. We're very close with those last black dots and a couple little brush strokes here and there. Then with a tiny brush, I added the last little tiny specks of white, which bring the eyes to life. If you look closely at those eyes, they've got little tiny white specks, which look just like the shine of the pupil of the eye. And really, anytime you're making an animal or a person, those little specks in the eye are what really make it look almost alive and real. So this is my little bear cub. You know, I'm going to stop here and let you figure out what you want to draw, what you want to paint. I might play with this just a little more, add a little more detail to the fur, but for the most part, that is my little bear cub on a rock. And so I can set this on a shelf. I can use it to hold down papers on my desk. I can just put it in the windowsill. I can give it away as a gift. I can put a magnet on the back if it's small enough, and I can hang it on the fridge. There's lots of cool things you can do while painting rocks. All right, so now you go out there, figure out what's your favorite rock, what you want to paint, and then get your paints together and go paint your rock. Can't wait to see what you do. Make sure to post your pictures so that we can see what your rock paintings were from the PAC 554 Camporee. Good luck, have fun, use that imagination. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.